So with foam, general rule of thumb is if you've got something you don't want foam on, don't be anywhere near it. So any of you have glasses like mine, I'm going to put them away, get rid of them. The wind is blowing this way, so everybody up here should be good, but I'm just telling you, if you don't want foam on them, put them away. If you want to get close to this, I'd recommend you come up here and, just keep a tarp in front of you. If you think you're fine where you're at, I'd just stay there. During this demonstration, you're going to find that I'm upwind. I have developed a respiratory issue with this. I have trouble breathing if I get too much of this. That happens to very few people. So chances are it's not going to happen to you, but if you feel short of breath, just please go outside the building this way. Okay? Oh, I thought you were raising your hand for a question. So Ron is, what's that?
Let me talk about this.
Okay.
He started in on what'll happen to you, but this is PPE, personal protective equipment. That's the mask. It's got tearaways, if I can find the tab. So I can replace these periodically, so I'm not trying to look at that. And the cartridges that go on this is what I use. That's acceptable for exterior. Actually, this is what I usually wear for interior foam too. It's probably not quite what it ought to be. And I see you're nodding your head. You and I both have the same problem. A beard doesn't count.
It don't come out of here real well. I just had a job in Georgia a couple days ago, and I was spraying a roof, and it came down, and my hood came back just a little bit, and it fell out of my hair for 3 days.
Yeah. To really be fully compliant, it needs to seal to your skin. So the little rubber thing in here needs to seal to my skin. And I do that once in a while. I'll shave my beard down to a goatee, and so it does what it's supposed to do. Bill mentioned if you, about 0.5% of the population is allergic to this stuff. So if you feel your lungs starting to tighten up, any kind of problem breathing, get out of here quickly. You're probably allergic to it. I've encountered 2 people in 46 years that are allergic to it. One of them I put in the hospital. I was spraying in town. He drove a block away from me, drove past, and the wind was taking the foam like this, and he turned the next corner and went to the hospital. He knew it that quick. So, very extreme case. But the other thing I like to warn people about is glasses. Bill already did that, but glass lenses it'll come off of, some plastic lenses it'll come off, some it won't. And I can't tell you how to tell the difference. So if you have plastic lenses, hide them. That doesn't mean put them on the back of your head.
Oh, I got it.
Okay. Because that's not hidden. This stuff will kind of hang in the air a little bit, and it'll get them. So.
So this is the hands-on portion. Everybody can touch the gun, spray. I'm going to teach you what we do with screws, how to patch holes. So everybody can get their hands on here. I'll demonstrate, and then I'm going to hand off the tools and let you guys do it. All right? This is typical of a roof. Maybe not so much the hole, but you'll get the point of what I'm getting at. It could be a hole that's rusted through the metal. I've dealt with those before too, same principle. But you're gonna, on any roof, you're gonna have vertical seams. So right here is a vertical seam. Here's another one. This is just this isn't really a vertical seam. It's just kind of a piece thrown right in the middle. I've seen that. I've seen stuff cobbled in down here. You're going to have what we call, these are what we call vertical seams. This roof is going to be in a sloped configuration, something like that. So these are what we would call our vertical seams. That one down there is what we'd call our horizontal seams. If it's done correctly, that seam would be underneath the uphill slope, right? But I've been on a roof and I've seen this. So when I put this sample board together, I didn't care. When we're done with this, you're gonna see it's gonna be a seamless roof. So it really doesn't matter if that's what you see when you get on the roof. We can fix it. That make sense? Okay, so some other things you'll see that we see on a roof. These were just some panels that I bought off of Facebook Marketplace. I don't know what they came off of. I just used them for sample boards. But when you get on a roof, you're gonna find areas like this. We call these misses, right? Somebody put in a screw, they missed it and they pulled it out. Water's gonna go in. You see holes like that. You're gonna see maybe not a miss, but a screw that's just completely missing. There's wood underneath. You can put a new screw in there with a new neoprene washer, and that'll seal right up. So I've got an assortment of screws here. Has anyone ever dealt with metal roofs before? A few of you? Okay. Well, there's a couple different kinds of screws. These screws are designed to fasten the metal to wood underneath. So anywhere there is like that. Okay, and these are way too long, but it's what I have, so we're using it. So anybody can come up here, grab this screw gun, just run one of those right through there. Then we have these type of screws. These are called stitching screws, and they're designed to take two pieces of metal and stitch them together. So they have a different purpose than those screws do. These stitching screws can also be used to fill a hole that doesn't have any wood underneath it. Sometimes that one didn't grab, sometimes they will, sometimes they won't. I would also use stitching screws anytime I have a seam like this that's not, that's just kind of out in the open, where I want to get that to sit down a little bit tighter. Okay. And that's how you do that. So anybody go ahead and jump right in here. Not everybody at once, though.
And the faster you screw, the faster we get to eat pizza.
Yeah.
Do you have butyl out here?
I did not bring any butyl out here, but there is a small roll in my trailer. I can go grab that. Front of my trailer might be a small roll of butyl.
No wood on
When do you use screws Conklin cells? I see you're using a different screw here. It's always got a different screw that doesn't have to be a pretty long.
Yeah, Conklin doesn't sell metal roofing screws.
Okay.
You can use whatever you want. The screws in place they use are designed to fasten down iso board. Back to your question, how often do I use a screw? Well, it depends on what I'm trying to fasten down. I try to get things tight, so if I've got a gap like that, I don't like that. So I'm going to take a screw. On these, I probably do like this. I do for screws. Sometimes I'll send my crew out with just a screw gun. I'll just tell them, tighten every one of them. Sometimes you get on a building and it seems like every third screw has started to back itself out, so we just tighten it down. I have different sizes of these. Sometimes you'll hit a screw trying to tighten it down, it spins out, so you grab one that's a little bit bigger, you put it in the hole. 20 different scenarios I can talk about. They're not coming to my mind right now. You just kind of gotta, when you go into my trailer or Dennis's trailer, I've got 10 different sizes of screws. I try to have everything I need in my trailer to deal with anything, and that changes whether I'm doing a MR roof or an EPDM recoat. I have certain things that I outfit my base coat trailer with. And then I have, both Dennis and I have completely separate trailers for top coat. It's just a separate, we just do different things with top coats. We have different accessories, some of the same tools, but you can do it all from the same trailer too. I could put a base coat drum in there, change it out when I'm done, put a top coat, and use the exact same trailer. You don't have to have two trailers. I just learned from Dennis that's the way he did it, so I thought I needed to.
I'm lazy.
It is nice though, right? We have base coat here and I have top coat in my other trailer, and when we're done, I just park that trailer, I grab the other one, and I take off. So it works, it does work nice. But if you're on a budget,
the mini bulk, when you want to switch to a mini bulk other material, I can't pick up 2,500 pounds.
Not anymore.
No, not anymore.
oh, okay, sorry.
Do you have the
All right,
scissors? I mean, do you have the shears?
They're up there. Oh yeah.
No, the metal shears.
Oh, metal shears. Yeah, let's fix this hole. How do I fix that? Thank you. I'll just plug this in over here. So you can use thin snips. These happen to be a metal shear.
Hey, that's mine.
So this profile, corrugation profile, that's the way it looks here. It does not exactly match that. And if I can, I try and find that same profile, and I would cut a piece that would go over both of the ridges, and I try and lay it in there real nice. I found one that didn't match, just so I can show you it's gonna work anyway. So I'm gonna cut out a square. So again, I already know that these don't match. This is normal, right? You get on a roof, it doesn't quite match. I cut it too small, or too big, excuse me.
A big hammer would fix that. The very first roof that Bill helped me on, we had a whole bunch of rusted area around the perimeter, etc. After we got on it, power washed it, I thought this roof should have been torn off and new metal put back on. But we caulked underneath all the patches. We laid it down after we metal readied the rusting primer, that rust area, screwed down patches over all the roof, over all the area. It's been 15 years.
Wow.
Doesn't leak.
I got one 25 years like that.
Yeah, and it should have been torn off. They should have spent $40,000, $50,000, $60,000, and instead I charged them a whole bunch less.
All right, so I've got my patch panel. I'm just kind of estimating here what I need.
More is better.
Yes, that's what your upline will tell you.
That's
Use more. And then I'm using stitching screws, not the other kind. Okay, that now I can do one of two things. In this case, I'm just going to use caulking and I'm going to brush in those Now I'm pulling the brush. I'll slow down so you can see that. I'm pulling the brush and I'm forcing that caulking in here. Since the profile doesn't match, I'm not sitting down tight over here. Conklin would say use fabric to do that. We can do that as well. Fabric would normally be done in base coat, but you can also do fabric in caulking if you want to.
More is better.
Not quite as neat as yours, Bill.
So, fabric will work in caulking as well. And when this all cures out, we get top coat over the top of this, that hole, right, about the size of a $50, it will never leak. No problems. Okay, so now we have to address all of these. So all of these here, what I'm gonna end up doing is some patching when I fire up the base coat machine. For now, if you guys want to brush some caulking on the bolt heads, Dennis can show you how that's done.
When you're caulking on a hot day, the edge of your bucket will actually cure your caulking. So as you dip in, you do a circular motion, you load the brush up, you start to wherever you want, you go dab, 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 and then you come back and brush. Brush, 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 brush. My son number 2 holds the record. He did 37 screws on one dab. So,
It's a 5-inch brush.
and some of them were getting pretty thin. So, Jake, brush, brush, brush. How do you get it out of the bucket? Circular around the edge. That way it doesn't cure on the edge, and you save your manager $15 worth of caulking per.
I don't think I got a new brush somewhere.
Yeah, you've never done this, Jeffrey. Oh, not those.
You don't have to do
You
those.
don't want me
We're
to
gonna
brush
put
those?
butyl on them.
All right.
I'm not going to put butyl on there now.
Oh, okay.
Do you want me to brush them out on or just leave them now on?
You can brush them out. I'll use. I was going to demonstrate normal fabric and butyl, so I'll do the butyl over here.
If you got a rag handy, just
It's fine. Just brush them out.
You never
All right, well,
put,
there-
where you're gonna put butyl on horizontal seams, you need a clean, dry surface. So you never caulk where you're gonna put butyl.
And so I was going to demonstrate butyl over there. Now I'm going to just demonstrate it over here. It's no problem. Well, just go ahead and brush those out. Those there. Yeah, just smooth them out. We'll do fabric over there.
Hey Danny, I like to point out, I like to get those smooth like you did up here. That way when you coat, it makes it easier to have a nice smooth surface to spray.
And as you're brushing, the last brush goes downhill,
Downhill.
because that way the water will run downhill.
So when
Makes it easy, it's good, it's what you want forever.
when we're doing butyl,
Otherwise you'll find out you get.
this is a short seam, and I could just cut what I need and show you, but it won't show you how it works the best. So I'm gonna have Dennis. Dennis, don't just stand right here.
And to get the this is plastic backed over the butyl, and to get it off, sometimes you'll spend hours
Yes.
trying to get the plastic to let loose from the butyl. Other times, first time you grab it, comes right off. So,
Denny, I'll maybe point out too, the roof is a little dusty here. Normally, you're gonna be on a roof that's been power washed.
correct, yes. And he's talking about power washing. If you want to look at power washing equipment, I have a trailer that's all we use it for is power washing. So it has the power washers, the hose, the scrubbers that you see here, the applicators for whack. All that is in a trailer by itself. So you never have to worry about getting the wrong stuff in the wrong trailer, the whack, etc.
So one other step we're skipping here, if you recall, when Dennis was explaining this, we would spray an encase primer, which comes out gray. Just for the sake of time, I don't have time for that to cure in here. So you're gonna have to, in your mind, think, okay, I've already done my primer, my power wash and my primer phase first. And now we're moving on with the other components, but I don't have time to let that cure and to get everything and show you guys what I need to show you. So
Do you always use encase?
if you want a Conklin warranty, yes, you must use encase. If you don't care about the Conklin warranty, we have absolute years of experience that the coatings do adhere very well to metal roof surfaces if they're properly power washed. That's a step you cannot skip.
Do you use just like cool water, or do you use temperature control like a hot seal?
We use just cold water
Just cold
is all
water.
I've ever used.
4,500 PSI, 4 gallon a minute. DeWalt, Home Depot, $1,000 power washers.
For EPDM roofs, you see these what we call surface cleaners over here. I'll use those. On a smaller roof, I'll use a turbo tip. Turbo tips is what I use on metal roofs.
And
Yeah.
I just use the white fan tips because they don't make as much noise and I go faster.
I'm with you, Dan.
And I bought my first barrel of encase last month.
What in the
45
world?
years.
Because the roof was rusty?
Yes.
Okay.
And somebody told me they wanted it to look nice.
All right. So we're gonna go ahead and apply butyl here. So you're gonna go an inch or so past the seam. Now this is, once it touches, it's there. So this is a system where normally I have at least 3 people. I have one person that controls the roll, one person that controls the fabric, and then I'd have another person controlling this plastic here. But we're gonna do it with 2. So I'm gonna set that down.
Because we're better than 4.
Yes, we're equal to that. Nope, not yet.
Can we vote on that?
All right, so now I want to demonstrate something. If the guy controlling this, if he pulls too hard, see how we've got deflection there? What that'll cause is a rebound later on. So you just need,
Hand me that roller.
you need to let it lay in a relaxed state. So he just holds it there and I push it down. And then on this one, I'm going to purposefully mess up and create what we call a fish mouth. Okay, so I can demonstrate how to fix that.
You notice he's cutting on the plastic, leaving plastic here. If you cut on the butyl, you don't get your scissors out.
Yeah, it sticks to scissors really bad. So he'll pull that out and I'll finish laying that down. And then I take my finger and I work that all in. So remember I said I purposefully did this one incorrectly. So imagine that roof is on a slope. Now this is on the uphill side. What does that do? It catches water, right. So just take a knife, I cut that right there, and I get that to lay down, and then caulking or coatings take care of that. But you have to look for those, especially if the person controlling the roll and it just happens. If they were pulling a little bit too much, sometimes it's windy. These just happen; they just do. So you have to go back and look for them and make them like that so they don't catch water.
So Aaron, what do we do on every joint? Cut every one of them.
He
Because they
does.
will never cause a problem then. And coating will seal them. So we just Every single one, we just cut them. Because they're not gonna leak there. And then we don't have a fish mount. Fish mount, even if one shows up a year later, it's gonna trap moisture, it's gonna work underneath it, it's gonna freeze thaw, it's gonna release the butyl, and it's gonna rust the metal. That's why if you look on forums of coating people all over the world or all over the nation, they say, don't use fabric. Well, the reason they say don't use fabric is they're not putting it on right. So if you put it on right, you never have a problem. It's the best roof around. This is a roller that's made for TPOs, etc. And you can use those if you want to roll in around the corners. It's a heavy stuff.
All right. Any questions up to this point? I'm gonna fire up my machine if I don't have any questions. Just show you how to base coat. All right, I'll get my machine started.
Who did caulk all my screws?
You. Fire the boss.
Okay, Conklin also says you caulk the leading edge before you put coating on. What is my saying?
Coating's cocky.
Coating is cocky. Bill has an 833 in there, so, and I have a 733 in mine, so you'll see the two different sprayers.
Can I throw out an alternative to the butyl thing?
Yes.
Yeah, well, that'd be the proper thing to do. I got caught on a job where my help didn't show up. I was by myself and I was ready to do the horizontal seam. And I thought, there's no way one person can handle that butyl and get it down. So, and I didn't want to waste the day. So I cut 9-inch pieces of the 5-inch fabric. Is this the heavy stuff?
No, that's 4-inch.
No, that's 4-inch. Anyway, the heavier fabric, I cut 9-inch pieces, which goes from the inside of rib to the inside of rib, and it just barely turns up at the end. And then I cut a bunch of roughly 3-inch pieces. So I started at one end with a bucket and a paintbrush. I put a little coating down. I'd slap the fabric into the bottom. Didn't even recoat them at that point. Just got it brushed over it so to make sure it was embedded. It's tight. Did down that roof, went back, took the little 3-inch pieces, put them over the cap. And while I did that, I recoated the first part that I did. And if on a decent day, it's going to be stuck down and cured well enough to go back over it. I even caught myself at times sitting in it, and it was cured well enough that I didn't pull it all up. But it did several things. It was easy to handle. The wind didn't get a hold of it. I wasn't spraying it, so I wasn't blowing up everything. I just laid down with the sprayer, and it got the job done. And I thought, versus putting that butyl down with 2 people, I think that would be a better. It takes a little time to cut all the pieces, but next one I do, I'm going to do it again. So,
And on standing seam roofs, that's what you do in these 2-foot runs.
Yeah.
You cannot get the butyl or even fabric to go up and over that coordination. So you pre-cut thousands of 18 or 2-foot pieces of 5-inch fabric so that you're ready to shoot, lay down, shoot. What Bill's doing is he's cutting patches. Conklin 2-inch average works perfect. It's big, cut thousands of these patches if you have little holes out on the roof.
Okay, so I've got my machine running. Maybe they covered this while I was in there. But normally this is done the next day, right? We don't want to be walking around in this wet and caulking. Because trust me, we're about to make a big mess here. Because it's hard to avoid the caulking. So normally we would, nice, thank you. Normally we would let this cure out for a day and then we come back another day and do what we're about to do. Obviously that's not possible with what we're trying to teach you guys today. All right, so I'm gonna step out here.
Your hose dragger, his job is to keep the hose out of the coating and caulking. If you don't, guess what happens?
You
You get yelled at. Sometimes you get a gun thrown at you.
What you're saying, they shouldn't be on the hose blower shouldn't be on the stove.
That's right. Yeah.
I just got old.
Hose dragger is actually the most important job because if the sprayer gets pulled or tipped off, he doesn't do as good of a job. So,
All right, so sometimes these holes, you can fill them with the screw like I did this one. Other times this is an acceptable fix. Will caulking work? No. No, not when you get this size. I'm just gonna say no, it won't. So I put the patches on, get them to lay as flat as you can.
how high is your pressure?
I've got to turn way down, so we don't make a mess in there.
Oh,
So,
come on.
not my new-
The way you spray is you turn your pressure all the way up and you weld it.
Yeah, so I would normally have a much higher volume of pressure in my gun because I'm used to this, but I want to put this gun in your hands, and I don't want to, you know, if you're not used to these things and you pull the trigger, you're going to get one of those. We're going to have a mess. So I've got the pressure turned way down from what I'm used to. So,
And the
What's that?
833, when you start it, you have to turn the pressure all the way down, and then it starts, and then you turn it up to where you want it.
I don't know the actual number. I don't have a gauge on mine. I can just tell you it's at max.
On the 733, the older style, they start, leave it full pressure, and they never change.
It's just the way I like to spray. Max pressure, and then I control it myself.
And the size of the tip.
And the size of the tip plays into it. We use massive tips, up to 555s over here. So that may not mean a lot to you, but that is a very large orifice in the tip. And so you want this machine cranking out as much pressure as it can to feed this gun. When I'm base coating, occasionally, depending on wind and environmental conditions, I will turn it down a bit. So I'm gonna run this first one, and then whoever wants to needs to step up and do this. So let's go ahead and we'll do this horizontal one first. I know you don't want to do this, so I'll do both.
There's one rule also out there, and it is, he who owns the sprayer
That's the spray.
sprays, doesn't get his hands dirty.
All right, so on this, you'll have, let's just lay it down. This won't hurt a thing, just set it right down in the coating. And then you just gotta have somebody along behind you. Normally we'd have a brush, thank you. I get some coating on this brush so it does a good job. And I just gotta work that into all of the cracks.
And the 5-inch coating, a 5-inch fabric is thicker, and it lays better, and it's easier to work with than this, what is called Spunflex. So we have Spunflex and Spunflex 2.
Yeah.
So you use what, Spunflex 2?
This is Spunflex, but we
I'm
would like
trying
to
to
do.
demonstrate massive runs.
Yeah, but see what you do. Cut some 9-inch pieces, maybe you could.
Yes, boss. Scissors are these?
We use, normally we would do this with butyl tape. This is for demonstration purposes only. All right, who wants to spray the gun here?
You're a volunteer.
I got it.
Again, never ever try to lay fabric where it's not wet, because it won't stick. Also, if you're laying multiple passes, spray wet, then lay the next pass. Spray wet with the next pass of material on it.
And if you have to, if you run out here, you need to join a new roll right there, that's fine. Now it's ready to lay your next roll right into it.
Just pretend there's a seat.
Spray the next 9-inch you want, so you can show it 9-inch.
Now, I kept these with great accuracy.
Did you turn the gun down, Bill, or is the thing not running wide open?
I've got the pressure turned way down. Okay, you gonna spray? All right, so we brushed this in, but we're not done yet. Yeah, now we have to put the top layer on.
And this is where Conklin says 2.5 gallons per 100 square foot total. Base, fabric, base. Because the fabric will absorb some and you need more over the fabric. So that's on all horizontals and all verticals. Yep.
Yeah. Correct. Yeah, you're just gonna, so the fan, that fan is gonna come out this way. So you're just gonna pull the trigger and go. Yeah, so it's gonna be about this fast. You're gonna pull the trigger and go.
Wait until I get in.
It's your spray.
Get out of my
So
way.
that's your option over the butyl, huh?
Yep.
And this is what we have used on the
I-
vertical
I think
seams.
it's
It's a
just-
patent
yeah.
pending,
I think you can do it.
super duper. The problem
And
is
if you
I
did,
can't get yardsticks
you know,
anymore.
100 feet,
And then this is what's
50
left of the
feet.
roll. This is my
by the
tension.
time you come back around,
Watch
that's
your
stuck
left
well
foot, you're
enough
gonna get coating on that.
that you could even spray it.
Pretty good.
Now, if the roof is sloped that way,
Yeah, I gotta turn way down. Oh,
if the roof is sloped this way, what do you do at the leading edge? You either caulk it or you use coating as caulking.
So this is one that you'd have to pay attention to when you come back the next day and it's pulled away like that. You gotta get some caulking or some coating in there.
What coating do you use? The coating is caulking only on Rapid Roof 3. Because
you
it
know
will
this-
not mud crack.
There's none of those fish mouths on this section.
Oh, you're so damn good, Ron.
Okay, so here's our vertical seam right here.
Hold his nose up so it doesn't get in there.
I'm gonna show you how I would do it. I'm not gonna spray. So I don't, again, coat and caulking would be dry. Here's our seam. So I would stand right here. And then I would step back and I would finish it. Okay?
Put in
watch
the
your foot.
caulking.
Your foot's in the caulking. Be careful.
Oh.
It's this one right here. Little thing right there. I need to turn
Okay, then the next thing we do is we put the fabric in it. So you get your handy dandy applicator. Where's Aaron? Aaron, you're my super duper applicator. What did Conklin say? This one, it's stretching because it's been used and it's stuck to itself, but new rolls won't do that. But Conklin says,
enough, Bill? We haven't sprayed it. I'm sure you got at least a half turn. You gave it at least a half?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we're fine.
but if you're trying to get that little fabric to lay where there's no screws, it's a son of a gun.
Yeah, so the the Conklin way is to use 2-inch fabric and try and get 1 inch on either side of that. Well, when the wind comes up, good luck. So we just buy the 4-inch fabric and we cover the whole thing.
So when you're laying fabric, it takes one guy spraying, one guy running the handy dandy applicator, another guy coming behind and getting the, making sure it lays right, and then the guy with the sprayer just turns around, hits it again. You can lay 10,000 square foot of seam in a day easy.
In the amount of time it's taken us to do this small one, I'd have done 100 feet. It goes that fast. When you got, 3 people and everybody knows what's going on. So
And
all right, now
non-stop.
this needs a coat of caulking on the top. You can either do it or somebody else. Go for it. So in general, you don't need as much on this one as you did before.
Like tip.
It's a tip issue.
Don't look at it.
Okay, that's good.
Now there's different tip sizes to use. This one is probably about a 535. That means that a foot off the roof, you're spraying a 10-inch wide pattern. The 35 means the size of the orifice. On MR roofs, we would like to start with like a 421 or a 429. That means we're spraying a shorter pattern and not as much material. We wasted probably 2 gallons per 100 square feet of material because we're spraying areas where you would not normally need to spray. So you just buy the tip that is according, they're about $40 a piece.
That's good for you.
Oh yeah, I like Bill.
All right, so we have one more seam. This one is just what I consider a patch. The seam is actually out here. Okay, so.
Now, a big roof, you never trigger. You just pull the trigger and run. You got any more seats? Nope. Okay.
So we've covered probably 90% of what you'd need to do on a metal roof there. Any questions before we move on to the next roof system?
Sir.
All right. All right, what we're going to demonstrate now is the rapid ply system. It'll work over, these are both approved substrates, OSB, plywood. This is fiberglass backed ISO board. That's approved
You guys
substrate.
can do a lot of these too. It's a neat system.
So
Just
I'll
lasts forever.
demonstrate first pass here.
Tell them how it's supposed to be screwed down because these aren't screwed down.
Good point. So with a plywood deck, the screw pattern generally isn't an issue. However, in the roofing industry, if you've got insulation board that's screwed down,
We're not going to do this as per code.
I'm going to show it to you. I don't have the right length of screws, but depending on how much insulation you had, you could have, you got to pick the right screw for the right thickness of insulation. And then I can just tell you in Nebraska, on the interior, if you're doing a large roof, the interior 4x8 sheets get 11 plates and screws. This is not 8 foot, but imagine this is a 4 foot by 8 foot section. You do a total of 11 plates and screws on that ISO board in this pattern. This is in the field. On the perimeter of the roof, there's a different number. You have to put more plates and screws down. I can't remember that number off the top of my head, but there's an international roofing code, and that'll tell you exactly what you need. And if you want a Conklin warranty, you better have your fasteners correct. So, because they'll want pictures of it. But this is the screw pattern for an interior ISO board. Hope you guys understand, I'm not covering everything because there's just way too much. Some of you in your roofing career may never even run into a roof like this. I have found that when I get into a roof that I've never run into before, my first thing is to go to a good source of information. Either Dennis or Ron have probably run into that roof before. And if they haven't, guess who has to do the research? Me. Okay, it's my responsibility, it's my roof, it's my contract. I need to make sure that it's done correctly so that my clients have trouble-free, right? When I walk away, I don't want the call back. If I do get the call back, I run back to it. Okay, I take care of it right now. So anyway, understand for purposes of time, I have not screwed this down correctly. But if you're in that situation, it needs to be. So now we're going to go ahead and we're going to start our rapid ply system.
We need a roller person. So we got a sprayer. We got a person rolling on a rough roof. You may have to roll it after he sprays it before you put the fabric down. On a smooth roof, new type material, you don't have to do that. But you may need two rollers. Two roller guys.
So let's
I'll show you how to get started.
what's
Sounds good to me?
This is not a roof system you're ever going to really see where you've got wood and ISO together. We're just trying to show you how this lays down on both of these substrates. So first thing I would do is I would have my crew just at least set this down so I know how far my pattern has to be. So he's just going to set it down, and then I mark it. I know I got to come out to about here, and I start.
You leave it hang like this. You take it, you drag it into the wet, and then you start rolling. And the roller guy will get up. You'll get him out to the wet material. Love it. Okay, we got a hunk of crud, or we got it not laid in the corner. How do you get that out? Well, with your fingers, or if you're like me, you don't like to get your hands dirty, then you just roll it in circles, and you'll actually
spray.
get it out. And just roll, basically, I tell my guys, roll fast. Because we're coming right behind you with the sprayer. So all you're trying to do, and as you get to the outside edge, pick it up, so you're not pulling it back. Go in a circle. Move it in a circle.
Put it flat.
Put this flat. And then just go in a circle, and voila! It's gone!
Anybody, or you just want me to show you? You want to spray? Okay. Safety is on. So are you right-handed? Okay, so you're going to start down there and work back this way.
So when you're on the roof, your guy with the roller is just going like this. Out of my way, Rich. I'm rolling.
Hey, do you use
I just go
do you like to use a 9-inch roller versus a bigger one?
We like this because it's easier to work when it
It's
swirls
just
out.
goes back.
And we always use Spunflex 2. We never use Spunflex because Spunflex it's thinner, and so it'll get more funky. It'll get ripped.
Watch your
Whereas
shoes.
Spunflex 2 will like it. This
Spray
is
on.
Spunflex 2. When you're spraying this on the roof, you can actually just walk in it. And walk in it, spray it as you're coming backwards. Okay, roller down. Roll it again.
Sometimes you can back roll it again. In this case, it'd probably be okay without it, but just depends on the roof, what you got in it.
Good job. You're higher.
Yep, outstanding.
Fabric guy?
So when we're seaming on a roof, if you recall when I was in there talking to you guys, this is a 38-inch roll, Y38. So you overlap 2 inches, that way you get 36 inches of coverage every time you go down the roof. That's what Conklin says. Sometimes keeping that nice and straight when you're going on a 100-foot run, that's really tough. You gotta have at least an inch. Or I would say keep it to 2 and err on that side, but it has to overlap. It has to overlap.
And if you screw up and don't quite get it on, run a piece of 4-inch
Yeah.
fabric
You
down.
can come back and fix it later, no problem.
You can even do that in Tonka.
Anyone want to spray the first pass? Yeah, so you can set that down and kind of mark how wide it needs to be. Let's run it right at this edge. I could. So we're a little bit thin on the first pass.
How much do you overlap, Bill? Your spray pattern?
So when I'm spraying top coat, I overlap half. But that's an applicator thing, right? I mean, it just depends on how fast you're running, but I think you do half as well, don't you?
Okay, as you're doing this on a roof, you can just walk in it and roll it out. When you have full, when you weigh 225 pounds and your roof is ready to fall down, get your scissors, cut her off. Damn, that's good. No wrinkles. Now we'll see how good he is at getting wrinkles out.
This is crunch. Anyone else?
Pretty good.
Okay.
I know. And if you're on a roof, you can do more. You can't do it up. You can't have all the people in the corner. You got it.
You don't need to do that.
That looks good.
That one's good. Yep. That's it.
And then top coat next day.
As I said in there, just depends on temperature, but I would let this have a really good cure. If I came back the very next morning, if this is 2 o'clock in the afternoon, I come back the next morning, anywhere where there's it's a little too thick or something, and I'm now walking on it, or my crew's walking on it, you know, we run the risk of wrinkling the fabric, and so I let this get a really good cure.
What about this stick?
What's that?
What about this stick?
So I just made one sample board for this. Generally, you're not going to have that. But if I did have a transition like this, I would use some sort of a metal transition here. A
Gutter edge
gutter apron thing or something like that. I would use some sort of a metal transition. I think that sample board. We just use fabric on this. We just use fabric on that one. Yeah, I think I push back, let's say 2 days from now, I've got 3 days of rain forecast, I really want to get this job done, and I'll push it. But if everything's perfect, I might only do 2 days.
We're going to stocking thing or be in that situation.
What's that?
Get rid of your old pair
Oh,
of socks.
yeah. I'll roof in bare feet if I have to. Yeah, weather plays a huge part in what we do.
And if this was, you're willing to do roof, you'd have a nailer edge around it, so this would get flush down in there, or you'd have a gutter edge on it, and then you just run fabric double around the edge of to give you reinforcement there.
All right, that ends our same as what we just did.
The beach is not in. So go, let them spring
Are we gonna do roast?
yeah, have to do that. I'm hungry.
Okay.
Priorities.
That's right.
A area where I know a lot of water will flow to a drain or something. Sometimes we have to, when we foam a roof, we have to grind out channels to direct water where it needs to go. I will use fabric on those. Right, Ron? Any other situations where you'd use fabric on foam?
Well, depending, if you're just grinding something out a little bit, you could caulk it
Yeah.
and get by with that. But especially like around drains where I cut into the drain into a cast iron bowl, I always fabric those, and those things will last 300 years
Yeah.
when I'm done with them.
Fabric is phenomenal. Anytime you need something that's maybe a little stronger, like I said, if it's a traffic area where people are walking a lot to do maintenance, to an air conditioner or something, drain areas. What's that? Yeah, right. Yeah, you do it after you foam. Yeah. So, good question.
A walkway. I've made miles of these things. After everything's done and the top coat is cured and everything, get back on it. Just spray the width of the fabric. I use the lighter fabric. Roll the fabric out, spray back over it, and sprinkle granules in it. The same ceramic granules that are in shingles. You can buy them by the bag. And it makes it tough. I've had guys drop toolboxes on them. You can see the dent from the corner of the toolbox. I've had them drop screwdrivers on them. And they're just tougher than anything. And it's non-slick, because the coatings are slick when they're wet. If you get a service guy up there and it's after a rainstorm, it is slick. So that eliminates that potential problem. So.
Did you talk about pads underneath air conditioners on foam roofs?
Oh, I did not.
Take this down there.
This is, I don't know if you can get over here. Don't walk across the new roof. But this is what we do very frequently for air conditioners. Pre-build a pad. And this is just a sheet of plywood, 4x4 screwed into it from the back. We spray them with foam and coat them. I also put a metal cap on them, the very last thing. So we can swing an air conditioner off its pad, take it out, lay this thing down, swing the air conditioner back onto it, run a few screws around the perimeter to make sure it doesn't ever blow away, and then when we spray foam, we just tie right back into it. We don't have to mess with the air conditioner.
So that has base coat and top coat already on it.
Yeah, it's
in
done.
coating. It's
It's
done.
done.
It's a done roof.
And we always mask off the air conditioners anyway, so we'll always be able to get coating back into where it's coating to coating and not coating just to foam on it. And I don't know, I suppose the first one of these I did was probably on the original Cushman job, which was 1984, and they were still in great shape when they tore the building down a few years ago. So I think they were 34 years old at that time.
And once we start making them, like you said, there's two of them here, we just make a bunch, and then you've always got them for your next job. You don't have to, the coatings are cured, you just bring them up there and away you go.
And some rooftop units that have ductwork on them, you can usually pick that up just enough to get this underneath. Another way of doing that, on those units where you can't swing them out of the way and get them out of the way, we'll take, what's our single ply?
Flexion.
Flexion. And maybe throw a sheet of board stock, insulation board stock or something like that. Put the Flexion in underneath it, set the air conditioner back onto its blocking or whatever it had, and then tie the coatings in and foam into the Flexion. That's another way of doing that. I haven't been doing that a long time, but I probably got them out there 8 or 10 years by now. And that works great if you don't have the room to get something like this underneath it.
And you'll be on roofs where other foamers, they'll take the gun, they'll stick it underneath there, they'll pull the trigger, the air conditioner unit will start to rise off the roof, levitate, because they're just throwing crap underneath there, hoping they get the leak solved.
And
We
then
won't mention any names, but they're...
Then the air conditioner rusts out, and eventually it'll leak there anyway. So someday you're gonna get stuck taking that air conditioner off. So.